all these things.
Thank you, thank you. Even persistence, even in the midst of a perceived challenge. That's the gift there. You just keep on going, no matter what. You overcome the obstacle, and you're as good as you're going to be, and that's good enough for us. I am the new year. I am an unspoiled page in the book of time. I am your next chance at the art of living. I am your opportunity to practice what you learned during the last 12 months of your life. All that you sought in the past year and failed to find is hidden in me. I am waiting for you to search it out again, and this time with more determination. All the good that you tried to do and didn't achieve last year is mine to grant, providing you have clearer intention and fewer conflicting beliefs. In me lies the potential of all that you dreamed but didn't dare to do, all that you hoped but did not perform, all that you prayed and did not yet experience. These dreams slumber lightly, waiting to be awakened by the touch of an enduring purpose. Yes, I am the new year. And that is your New Year poem.
Amen.
So welcome, my friends, and all that it promises. And so, again, I'm going to do something I don't usually do, but we're going to do it anyway. You're going to turn to a person next to you and say, welcome to the new year. Wait a minute. I knew you were going to all do that. You can't wait, can you? So you're going to say, welcome to the new year. Amazingly awesome things are in store for you.
Welcome to the new year. Amazingly awesome things are in store for you. Welcome to the new year. Amazingly awesome things Welcome to the new year. Amazingly awesome things are in store for you.
Okay.
She's like, okay. She needs to say, simmer down now.
And here's the second part. You don't want to miss the second part, lost control.
I love it.
Here's one for you to say after me, okay? Amazingly awesome things are in store for me this year.
Amazingly awesome things are in store for me this year.
So it is. I'm knowing it.
So it is.
It is a tradition in New Thought and religious science at the beginning of the years, and even though we have this last day, I wanted to start this because I love these spiritual teachings that we're all involved in. And it's the basics of science of mind, the basics of New Thought, of our spirituality. And I would like us to really anchor into the fundamental teachings and what they kind of mean. So it's a whole different language, kind of, and you learn it, and once you learn this language, it's like everybody's got this code, you know? We all know about manifestation. Did you manifest today, you know? Did you do your spiritual mind treatment today, you know? Any hidden beliefs pop up for you? This is a kind of like our language. But anyway, this is all based in the Science of Mind book on the pre-chapters, okay? There are 4 sub-chapters that are so powerful in that book, and they are entitled The Thing Itself, The Way It Works, What It Does, and How to Use It, all right? And we will do that. In this whole January, we're going to be taking it, not chapter by chapter, but the essence of those teachings written by Dr. Ernest Holmes. And they're amazing concepts that are written in those first 4 pre-chapters. So here are some of the terms and conditions. So if you're not familiar with them, that's okay. You will be if you keep coming, because we use them all the time. And if not, sign up for a class, especially foundation class. Mental equivalence. You all know what that means.
Oh, yeah.
Spiritual truth. Those are people that took the class that are answering. Spiritual truth, the absolute. Divine creative process. False beliefs, divine intelligence, consciousness, principle, demonstration. The affirmative life, the law. That's a powerful one. Divine right order, one of my favorites. I use that a lot in life, and especially when I'm traveling or I have a big function. It's like I go right back to, because nothing's in our control anyway, we just think it is. It's all in divine right order, so it happens exactly as it's supposed to. And there's so many more terms, we're not going to get into all of them, that's enough for the moment. This month I want to make sure that we understand and embody this language, and which may be new to some of you, and if that weren't enough, we're going to add a few new words. Found a way to make up words, new terms, just to keep it going. And you know what's funny is those are the ones we remember. You know, that's more in January, after Bante. So anyway, today we will begin by, this was the working title of this talk, which I shortened to the creative process. This was the working title. Activating the divine creative process through the law and dispelling false beliefs and leading an affirmative life and experiencing amazing demonstrations, which I thought was a little long to send out in a newsletter. So what I did was I took that apart. And so that is going to be the basis of the talk today. These concepts can sound ponderous, they can sound boring, they can sound like, oh God, is this another boring thing? But it's not. I find these teachings come alive every single time I read another passage by Dr. Ernest Holmes or any other new thought teaching, spiritual teaching. They come alive. They're always fresh and new. And I've been doing this for over 25 years, and I love to reread it and to re-embody it, to be reminded is what it is. We come here on Sundays to be reminded of how powerful we are, because we are creators of our lives. So these concepts can sound that way, but they aren't. They're real, they're alive, they're vibrant, and my desire is that we truly feel these things by the time the month is over. So by the end of, you know, we set intentions, some people do. I don't really. But some people do, and that's good. You set your intention, but we want to give it some teeth. We want to give it like how you can consciously create your intentions. Not sit back, that's why they don't come true. You set a goal or an intention for New Year's, which I always found a little silly anyway. And then you sit back and wait for it to happen. How many of you fulfilled? Maybe you fulfilled some. But usually if you have, it's through conscious thinking. Not by default, by consciously being aware of the divine guidance you will always get when you turn to the divine within. Then you will always get it. So what does, and here goes the title again, activating the divine creative process through the law and dispelling false beliefs to lead an affirmative life and experience amazing demonstrations mean? What does it mean? What does it mean here, and what does it mean here? This is where the real intelligence lies, when we are able to drop from here into here. So let's go exploring. So the first part, activating the divine creative process through the law. Before we know how to activate the divine creative process through the law, we'll probably need to be clear on what is the divine creative process, and by the way, what is the law that we keep talking about? One of my favorite topics, actually. And here's a little secret. They are working in tandem anyway. They're always working, okay? The creative process is always working, I'm going to give you some quick examples. It's always working, and the law is always working. So we work it when we know these spiritual principles clearly, and we know that we are powerful creators of our lives, and we follow every single bit of guidance that we get, and that comes from within. That's why meditation and prayer is so very important, because that will activate so much more than this can think of, because this doesn't do the meditating. This doesn't do it. This does it. This is where meditation lies. So as I said, you can't see the creative process or the law, but you can be assured they're always working. They're always working. We are activating this process all the time. It is always in play. We're never not creating, in other words. We are always creating. The law, which is simply the process by which God brings these unformed ideas into manifestation, is always working. But how strong is our belief and our faith, our thinking, our believing, and our feeling? It just works. It really does. Always in always. Therefore, we cannot not create. This is important to remember. And so say that after me. We cannot not create.
We cannot not create.
Say that again.
We cannot not create.
It's the truth. You're creating with every single thought you have. Well, that's why it's so important to be conscious, to be aware. Very important. The question is, what are we creating? Are we consciously using the divine creative process to create our goods and the goods of others? Or are we unconsciously using it to create the exact opposite of what we want to experience? Remember, we can consciously create or create by default. We're always creating. So when people aren't aware that we are these powerful beings that can create, when our faith is that strong, when our intention is that clear, when we truly believe beyond all doubt that what we are holding in our minds is actually an experience that we will be having. I have seen it over and over again. When I have gotten, as Emerson says, my bloated nothingness out of the way, I have seen the way the divine creates in my life, and it's so much better than I could do on my own. But I have to know the what. Yeah, we have to know the what we want to feel, more than what it is. What we want to feel for manifesting the thing, or the whatever it is. We have to know what we want to feel from doing that. Ernest Holmes writes in Science of Mind, this is on page 36. In our ignorance of the truth, we have misused the highest power we possess. And so great is this power, so complete is our freedom in it, so absolute the domain of the law through it, that the misuse of this power has brought upon us the very conditions from which we suffer. Isn't that great? Yeah. So this is where we move from the head to the heart. It's one thing to know this concept in your heart, and we know it all in our head. We know it in our head. We study it, we read it, we know it. We know those words. But are we feeling them? Are we living them? That is where our power comes in. It's different to know it in your heart. It really is different. And if we know it in our heart, we are applying it into our lives on a daily basis. Remember what the New Year poem that I just read said. All the good that you tried to do and didn't achieve last year is mine to grant, providing you have clearer intentions and fewer conflicting beliefs. So the second part of that long title is Dispelling False Beliefs, which takes us to another part of our title this morning. So what are you believing that just isn't true about your life? About how the universe works? Because remember, scripture readings remind us at Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So that's a powerful little reminder. What you are thinking through your heart is what you are experiencing. And as it's said many times, if you want to know what you're thinking, look around at what you're experiencing in your life, because it's going to tell you. It's going to show you right up. It's going to show you. So I want to read more of this Holmes passage. And I shared a part of a moment ago. And these are beliefs to instill. It really is the whole point of being here, of listening to me, is so that we can, and so I get clearer too. So I thank you all for giving me that opportunity to deepen in my spirituality and my passion. I really do. Because the more we think and speak these truths, the more we create what we want. The more we speak about what we do not want in our lives, the more we create what we do not want. It's the law. It's how it works. So always, and we drift off. So when we drift off into that lack of limitation, pull ourselves back. Pull ourselves back into the moment where we know that all is possible. All is possible for us. These things to think in our hearts so that we can use this creative process, which is always at work to bring forth that which is our highest and best good. And the law is the thought going into this law that gives back. You think of the law of attraction, law of cause and effect. We are. The thought is the creative urge. I had so many words go through my mind on that. It's the creative urge that goes into the law that brings back the effects in our lives. It is very similar to a seed being planted in the soil to become a plant. It can only be the plant of the seed that is implanted in the law. That is it. If you remember nothing else today, remember that. Your thought is so creative. It is the only creative force you have. So this is what Ernest wrote. And this is long, so you might want to take this one in. The original life is infinite. It is good. It is filled with peace. It is the essence of purity. It is the ultimate of intelligence. It is power. It is law. It is life. It is in us. In that inner sanctuary of our own nature, hidden perhaps from objective gaze, nestled the seed of perfection. In our ignorance of the truth, we have misused the highest power we possess. And so great is this power, so complete is our freedom in it, so absolute the domain of the law through it, that the misuse of the power has brought upon us the very conditions from which we suffer. This is all Ernest Holmes. We are bound because we are first free. We are free to choose. So we have freedom. The power which appears to bind us is the only power in the universe that can free us. This is why Jesus summed up his whole philosophy in this simple statement. It is done unto you as you believe. Period. And so we suffer, not because suffering is imposed upon us, but because we are ignorant of our true nature. The thing then works for us by working through us and is us. Always. It cannot work for us in any other way. It spreads itself over the whole universe and shouts at us from every angle. But it can become power to us only when we recognize it as power. And we cannot recognize that it is while we are believing that it is not. So good. Therefore, our belief sets the limit of our demonstration of a principle which of itself is without limit. It's ready to fill everything because it is infinite. So it is not a question of its willingness nor its ability. It is entirely a question of our own receptivity. Are we open and receptive? When the information appears, the guidance comes through us, are we doubting it and not taking the step forward? Or taking the step wherever it is, sideways, whatever it is. That, and it's uncomfortable sometimes. It's so uncomfortable to step outside of our box. But what is that box? It's a self-imposed, invisible boundary thing we've set up that keeps us playing small. And this 2018 coming up here, let's play a little larger in 2018. Let's step out of that box that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anyway. There's no box. I don't know who made that up. Somebody made it up. I didn't make that up. Somebody made it up. The key, though, is in that third sentence. The third sentence. When we praise the richness and fullness of God, meaning when we connect with the infinite life, this abundant, prosperous, beautiful, good, that is the energy. See, God is divine energy. That's what God is. It is always creating. There is nothing outside of it. Everything is contained within the nature of this divine energy. The life that is the ultimate of intelligence, the all-power, the all-love that resides in each and every one of us if we tune into it. That's our responsibility. You have a choice. You're only responsible for yourself. So if you want to tap in and tune in, there's that thing in the 60s, what was that? Tune in, drop out, something. I should remember the drop out part. But I've returned. Oh, turn on, right. So let's turn on to God. Let's turn on to our spiritual power. Let's turn on to the truth. And let's drop out of the illusion. Let's drop out of all the stuff that isn't real. And let's move forward. So, this year, at the onset of the new year, are you ready and willing to dispel any beliefs that are contrary to what I just read?
Yes.
All right. And that's a very powerful passage that I read of Holmes. It was long, but it felt like the whole thing really needed to be spoken. And it pretty much sums things up for us. And let me say when we open our receptivity to receive that divine bounty, the divine truth that is always there. But we have to believe it's there. Okay, that's the thing. Because people will sit there, well, maybe for her it's there, but it's not for me. It's there for everyone. Everyone. We're all children of the divine, each and every one of us. So, we will experience our spiritual power in ways we've never experienced it before when we let go of just one. So my question for you this morning, so this doesn't become overwhelming, is this. Can you identify one, just one thing at a time, right? One step at a time. Can you identify one limiting belief? That if you dispelled it today, you would live from a much more enriching and powerful place. And would you be willing to let it go? Yes. We can know our hidden beliefs, but that doesn't mean we're going to let them go. Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Okay, I'm letting it go. It's gone. I'm not thinking that anymore. And then we think about how we're not thinking about it anymore. Right? throughout the next week, we'll think about what we're not thinking about anymore, and that way we're creating more of what we don't want. That's what we do. That's what we do. So just to be aware of it and laugh at it. Because we're pretty funny. We're all ridiculous, actually. I laugh at myself all the time. I'm completely ridiculous. Please. So the third part of that very long title was Affirmative Life and Experience Amazing Demonstrations, okay? So how much of the affirmative life are we ready to live in 2018? That is the question for us to really ponder. The affirmative life, meaning the life we choose to judge not according to experiences as it appears, but to judge righteous judgment. And righteous judgment simply means right thinking. It means we align with the infinite mind of God, because this energy that I spoke of is intelligent beyond all human comprehension. So are we aligning with that's righteous thinking? Right there, that's righteous thinking. To use the words of Jesus, because he said righteous judgment. But what does that really mean? And it means just what I said it means. That's what I believe it means anyway. It makes sense to me, and it gives me more powerful. To not see things how they are, but how we want them to be. You know, this is the way it is, but let me go to my vision. Let me go to my dream, and let me feel what it feels like to come from my vision, to come from my dream. What kind of feelings are my feeling? That's the vibration that will attract. That's how the law of attraction works. But that's, you have to act as if. So use your imagination, one of your highest faculties that was drilled out of us as children. What are you, daydreaming? Yes, I'm creating my life, okay? So hold on to that vibration of what it feels like to be living your vision, what you want to manifest in your life. Holmes writes, this is on page 53 of the Science of Mind book again. We should be able to look at a discordant fact in the face and deny its reality. That's a part of treatment that we don't teach, but I use. It's the denial. I see this, I see it happening, but I refuse this to be my truth. I refuse it because I know the good of God is my good right here, right now. This is just an appearance, and I will prevail. I will step into my power. I have the freedom of choice. That is denying something. Deny it. Deny it. Deny that something has power over you other than the divine. Because in the true reality of life itself, not physical form life, but spiritual life, there is nothing to block that energy and that essence from flowing. The only thing that blocks it in this human dense form that we are in is our thinking, our beliefs, and our doubts. Those doubts are a killer of greatest dreams. We should be able to look at a wrong condition with the knowledge that we can change it. We can change it. We can change our outlook on anything. The realization that we have the ability must be gained by the application of our knowledge. The practice of these spiritual teachings calls for a positive understanding of the spirit of truth. And the truth is that you are a divine being of the light. You are one with the Almighty. You are one with God. The only separation is what we think of as separation. That's it, period. A willingness to let this inner spirit guide us with the conscious knowledge that the law of good, and I could go on for hours about the law because I just love the law, the way it creates so intelligently. It knows without judgment. It knows exactly what to give back to the person with the thought, but it doesn't judge. It's neutral, so it gives back no matter what you're thinking. No judgment, Here. Oh my God, I don't know how I'm gonna pay my bills this month. Here, more of that. Oh, I don't know how I'm ever gonna be in a loving relationship. Here, you never will, buddy. Caviar. So my question to you this year is, how many amazing demonstrations are you willing to experience?
All of them.
All of them. Ooh. A demonstration is just our science of mind word for the result that is obtained by conscious choice, what we are consciously thinking. And it's the divine process that is always working. Thought, law, effect. Seed, soil, plant. You're going to get what you give. It's the way it works. That's what makes it a science. It's the way it works. So there you have some of the definitions for our science of mind language. But let's put them into action with this affirmation for a new year by Science of Mind founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. This is like a closing prayer. So you might just want to take a breath and just go within. I am living in the continual expectancy that every good thing in my experience shall be multiplied. There is neither doubt nor uncertainty in my mind. I know the Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty has given me life. I have complete confidence in this Spirit and its action in my experience. I affirm that today, every day, is filled with blessings for myself and others. The past is gone, and I gladly lose it and let it go. The present is filled with peace and joy, and the future with hope. Gratefully, I accept divine love and givingness and extend them to everyone I meet. I am made whole with the wholeness of spirit. I am guided into right action and successful accomplishment of all my good desires. This I accept. This I experience. And I give thanks for this glorious manifestation of my dreams, of my life, of my every thought, because I know it is all good. I truly move into that place of knowing that the good of God is my good, right here, right now, and so it is.
So it is.